I knew that she was starting the studio and was doing a renovation on her house and adding the studio onto the house. And I was, excitedly sort of watching from the sidelines. And when she was like, I was thinking about something, I still remember the meeting we were in when you leaned across at lunch and was like, I want to talk to you about something later.
At work? You're
Yes.
leaning in like, oh man, I love it.
We took a lunch.
Nice.
Yeah. And when she told me about it, I was like, sign me up.
Hey, Jess here. I am in Austin, Texas at Crosspick Studios with Ashley and Amy. And I think they're around here somewhere. Oh, thank you.
Wait a sec, let me wash that for you.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Thank you. Let's go. Can each of you tell me what your role is here at Crosspick?
So this is our studio. It is here in Austin, Texas. My role is I'm a musician. I've been a musician in Austin about 20 years now, and playing music and having a way to capture that music has kind of been a passion of mine for some years now. And finally, after a few iterations of having like a spare room in the house studio to 2-channel, garage band, etc. This is the final culmination of sort of the dream.
I've been a music fan my whole life. Music is my community, musicians, and I started taking classes at our local community college on audio engineering. And so at this point, my role is head engineer at the studio.
Ashley gets a lot of the gets us along on the technical road. We'll kind of share editing duties after a session.
And then Amy's more of the producer side of things. Her ears are better than mine, so she's often over here doing more of the quick mixes.
But this is our main kind of soundboard. Ashley can kind of walk you a little bit through about, how are we recording the music here?
Yeah, so it starts from kind of the infrastructure. We decided to get a rolling desk that can raise into a sitting or standing position because we need to roll it around depending on what we're doing. This is pretty much where it is when tracking sessions are happening, maybe a little bit pushed more into the corner. We run pretty much exclusively through the box, and we run Pro Tools, which is what's up here on screen right now. And we're using, our interface is this Focusrite Claret 8 Pre-X. We have also got this Octo Pre down below. So we've got 16 channels of tracking we can do simultaneously. And then we've got a little 500 series rack over here of some preamps. So we've got a Cappy VP28, a Neve 511, I think that might be my favorite. And this Warm Audio 12, and then a Golden Age Project 573. Yeah, and we try and focus on the basics because, we don't have the racks and racks and racks of crazy gear to modify it after the fact. We can if we need to, but we'd rather capture it great the first time in an authentic way. And so that seems to work out best for us.
Yeah. This room can be kind of moved around and functional, however, but we've seen that we can put amps facing that velvet curtain as far from the drums as possible. We kind of build a chamber situation here. We have a bunch of blankets.
Nice.
We'll try to keep that amp pretty separate, put a mic down below it, and we put our guitar area sort of here. The player will come up in this zone. So, the bass player's usually there. Keyboard, if we have keyboards, they're kind of in this space. It's worked, and we haven't found a problem with the sound when we've done mixing after the tracking.
I've been really surprised at how many artists actually sit on the couch while they're performing.
Seriously.
That seems to be sort of the
that's
the best spot.
It's some sort of
it feels as great
1950s situation. It's short-bodied. I love it.
Oh,
for that
why
reason. It's not so deep. It's good. And this is kind of the sweet spot right here in the center of the room. If we have a vocalist, we'll have them kind of like right in here. Kind of get that room sensibility, and they'll be projecting this way.
Depending on if we want to really clamp it down and make it a really dead room, we can move all of the panel absorbers down to one end of the room. If we want to liven it up, we can remove them. So it's as simple as just removing it. There's these little Z-clips on the back.
Nice.
And you can put these Z-clips on anything. So our diffusers also have little Z-clips, so we can move those down here if we want to.
So when somebody contacts you, artist or a band, to record, what do you do? Like, how do you prepare for that session?
We get a lot of info way beforehand.
We try and listen to their music, obviously, if we don't already know it, and kind of get a sense for what their previous stuff sounded like.
When the day comes, Ash and I will meet, you know, the night before. We really spend a good 2 hours mapping out the room.
Then you would pretty much like set up mics and do line checking to some extent, perhaps like the night before.
Yeah, and of course there's going to be changes to mics. Sometimes we'll do shootouts on their vocals to see which one they like their vocals sounding like through, or moving things around.
You know, in those moments of like testing out like our own mics with somebody's voice, their voice is going to respond differently. We have a few preamps as well. And it's kind of cool right at that moment, really early on, because when we start asking them, like, dial in your sound, like, what do you like your voice on, this mic or this one? And she hides the A, B, she'll be like, A, B, A, B, you know, and they're like really listening, and then they get a sense of, I kind of like my voice on the second. And it's, I don't know, I feel like that's just bringing the artist right on board. Like, again, this is your project, we're just here to facilitate that. So we have 3 ribbon mics, we have a couple LDCs. We have now, we just got a Shure collection of a 5 drum mic kind of kit.
Yeah,
that was
we
our
probably
latest.
got maybe 12 or so
357s.
dynamic
mics.
mics.
57s, 58s. So it's kind of a mix.
Classics.
Yeah.
Workhorses.
Yeah.
And some of our nicer, the Royer, our 10s. Yeah.
Ribbons. Yeah.
Those are a ribbon pair, and
Which
we'll
are
use the
on
cloud
overheads
lifter.
right now.
I'm a huge fan of this company in Portland who makes ear trumpet labs, and so I use this Edwina mic, and that was like my gateway gear. This is my gateway microphone.
Little boutique mic company.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
large. It's an LDC mic, and I use it for my mandolin, bluegrass band. We use it for recording, and that was like the gateway. And then I feel like everything about this whole business and studio was built from me having that microphone. All my favorite things and objects are in this room, right? All my favorite instruments. You can find favorite, you know, microphones, and that's really fun. That's a joy for me to walk in and just feel like this queendom in a way. And then to see that other people are kind of vibing on that, and they'll come in and be like, ooh, and it's just this warm embrace.
Well, what about the space itself?
Our audio engineering instructor, he also runs, he's an acoustician, so he has sort of consultation.
Awesome. Yeah.
So after I kind of left his class, I was like, hey man, you know, I have this opportunity to build this space, and he helped me get the design kind of on paper. The footprint is gonna be a single car garage. Work with me on this. So this is a double wall right here, and it comes in about a foot and then splays back to itself at that peak where it starts looking kind of weird above that, and then it kind of gets back to parallel. The floors below, this is just plywood, but it's uncoupled, it's double floored. Another velvet curtain.
I like the color too.
Panels.
I mean, just like the color scheme feels nice. I mean, it like ties into the backsplash of the bathroom,
That was intentional.
which I think but it feels really good down to like the scheme of the panels.
Thanks.
But like, I think those details really matter when it comes to getting into a comfortable
Thank you.
Yeah, me
space.
too. And I think
Yeah.
that's what a lot of studios don't pay any attention to. And some people would say, why are you paying attention to that at all? It's about the music. But I don't feel like you can decouple, to use that term, the music from the vibe that you're feeling. And whatever contributes to a good vibe is what we want to do.
So then to have bands that actually showed up when we opened was kind of
There's a little bit of a leap of faith.
total leap of
Because
faith.
there are a lot of studios in this town.
A lot of
true.
studios. We got a lot of interest, and I had a hunch that there would be interested, you know, women or indie spirits, like our queer community, like kind of interested in a scene that was more embracing the creative versus just like, let's just lay some tracks, you know.
It's that moment when you're in a session and you're rolling and the musician or band are doing their thing and they're comfortable and they hit their stride and you just feel it.